This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-Made, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A-game, better bring your A-game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-Made, no rain from...
And now it's the Mike and JD show, and I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as, well, he's back now. He wasn't here last week, but he is back in action. JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD? JD, are you there?
I'm right. Hello? Weren't we just talking before the show?
Yeah, you're good now. We had a glitch in the show. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. I was like, what the hell? We were just talking. No, I was let's say I guess I'm all right. I don't know, man. I'm gonna spend Thanksgiving by myself this year. So I'm not thrilled about that. So I'm just kind of,
Can you afford a round trip ticket to Honolulu? Because you're welcome here, buddy.
I would appreciate that, and I would take you up on it. But the problem is I got wrestling on Wednesday. And I got wrestling on Friday, and my family's going to visit my in-laws up in Wisconsin, and I got teacher conferences Monday and Tuesday, so I'm just, it doesn't make sense for me to go anywhere, and they'll be back Friday. Like, they're just going to be gone for a week. It's just, it kind of sucks to know your extended family doesn't give a shit about you in a year when you lost your parent and stuff like that, so it just is a bitter, sorry, man, I'm just going through some stuff tonight, and I was,
Yeah,
Oh.
no, I feel you, man.
Oh.
It gets, believe it or not, there is a downside to living to Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to. I mean, like outside your immediate family, you don't really have those ties to anybody. So I mean,
well, and when you're in the military, people come and go out of your life like all the time, and so this year it's just like us here. Like our neighbor invited us over, but we never really like. They're really cool. They're really sweet people, but we have not even talked to them in a long time. So I think we're going to go pop in, but for the most part, it's just going to be me, the wife, and the kids. And then that's going to be it. Cause it's like, you would think it wouldn't be difficult to twist somebody's arm to come to Hawaii and stay at your house. But, it turns out it has been quite difficult. If fucking Dave Meltzer's here and he won't even call me. Well, he doesn't know me, but, yeah. So I totally get where you're coming from. I feel you.
It's expensive, man. I'd be in Hawaii tomorrow if I could afford a plane ticket out there immediately.
Yeah. But since we last talked, the audience, if you guys were able to catch the show last week, we didn't go on Thursday. JD couldn't go. Last minute work thing. So we pushed to Friday night. JD couldn't come in on Friday night, pre-engagement. So I brought in Cousin Joe and Peppermint Fatty himself, James McDaniel. From the Reels Network. He's a big time guy. Well, he tells me he's not, but I think I'm gonna start a conspiracy that he's like running that company. But he was on the show, and it was pretty fun to go live after that shit show that was Tyson versus Jake Paul.
It'll work.
Yeah, total. What a sham of a fight. But it was actually really fun to watch that and then go live, because I have not done like a boxing recap show in a long time. So that was really cool. We also got a chance to talk about the Hall of Fame. You and I have not even talked about it yet. So I think I wanted to save the victory laps until you got back. So JD, shall we take our victory lap on Paul Orndorff? Because I'm pretty sure we got him over the edge there.
I wanted to, dude. We both advocated very hard for Paul Orndorff, as did our brethren here at the Voices of Wrestling Network. Yeah. Everyone here is very, very much pushed the Mr. Wonderful agenda. And we did it, man. Paul Orndorff is a member of the Hall of Fame. You know what we literally pushed over the edge, though?
Mr. Bobby Davis.
Yeah. Bobby Davis got in by one vote. And here's one and two right here. So literally, if Mike and I don't have our ballots this year, Bobby Davis is not in the Hall of Fame. The original manager, like the guy who really created the role of the professional wrestling manager as we know it, would not be in if it weren't for the two of us. I'm really proud of that one in particular.
Yeah, I feel like, we were able to get something accomplished in our first year on the ballot.
Yeah, I do too.
Look, we don't have a large platform, but we get decent numbers on the Voices of Wrestling Network, and so we were advocating for them, and then and sure enough, our votes 1 and 2, like your vote tied him, I pushed him over the edge. I'm trying to take complete credit for him winning, but
well, I'm gonna take credit for him winning because that was literally the last person to submit my ballot.
Okay, that's true.
my vote put it over.
Yeah. Okay. I know.
I did. So
yeah, I actually put mine in like way ahead of you.
Way ahead of me.
Yeah. So that is cool. I'm really happy about that. But Joe James, too many fucking J letters on my show, by the way. And then JD's not there, and then I got James and Joe on my damn show. And that also rhymed. But anyway, I talked about the Hall of Fame. I talked about the Hall of Fame results with those guys, and they're not voters, but they have some really cool opinions. So if you guys get an opportunity, go check it out. I actually clipped that whole segment and put it up on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the like button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you're a subscriber to the patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show. Got all kinds of content. JD dropped some new content this week on Patreon.
I did. First of all, you pushed me to Johnny Rougeau. I wasn't going to vote for Johnny Rougeau, and I did because of our conversation the week the ballots were due. So I'm really happy that I could have contributed, because that's what's cool about talking about the Hall of Fame, right? Is you can sell your ideas one way or the other. So I had no interest in voting for Johnny Rougeau. Mike sold me on it, and he got in, so I was happy to participate in that. So yeah, I put a vote thing on the Patreon this week. I'm back on reading comics every week. Absolute Batman and Superman are fantastic books. They're basically DC's kind of rebooting their universe in the little side over here, right? It's a darker universe, right? That if you're into the continuity, it's because Darkseid's influences everything. But you don't have to know that to read these books. But like, they're good. They're good books, and I really I'm at lunch last week, and I sat down and knocked out a video. It took like 6 days to post for some reason. Getting all school Wi-Fi, but yeah, man, I had a good time doing that. I'm gonna keep doing that because people reacted pretty well. My boy DJ Convoy was digging on it, so that's all I need.
Yeah, I think we do have some comic book fans in the Patreon community, and I think we do on our YouTube channel too. So maybe we'll try to do some more of that content going forward. If the people want it, we'll try to give it to them.
It's easy. It's fun to do. It's fun to talk about. I'm not doing superhero speak anymore, so I haven't talked about comics in a long time. So it was actually fun just to nerd out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good stuff. I'm really glad that you were able to do that. But man, it's half your network. You can do whatever you want. So JD texted me earlier today, and he's like, "Hey man, what are we talking about?" And I'm like, "Man, pro wrestling is kind of not all that interesting right now. There's just so many other. I know there's just so many other things in the world that's just like kind of has captured my attention." But I have watched Dynamite a couple weeks in a row, so I'm pretty well caught up on Dynamite. I watched it this week. And one of the stories that broke earlier this week, it comes to us from one Brian Alvarez. He's saying AEW is planning to hold tapings at smaller venues. Here's the report. AEW planning to hold future tapings of Dynamite and Collision at smaller venues, according to a report from Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live. The promotion has yet to make a change, though, due to logistical issues. So this makes sense. I think a lot of us have been advocating for them to do this already, but they spent so much money on equipment that they just haven't been able to do it. And Brian kind of breaks it down. He says, "I'm going to be kind of vague, but it's happening. I just don't know all the technical details. I've been told that there is headway being made in running smaller buildings." Now you hear that and think, why does headway need to be made? Just book smaller buildings. Well, apparently there actually was a logistical reason why they were running a lot of larger buildings, and it had to do with the set in particular, the lighting rig. And there was something that they had in their set that was basically too large and heavy to get into smaller buildings. And so they've been working on retooling it so they can actually get their set into smaller buildings. I think that was a great explanation by Brian. It's not something that I've ever even thought of. I'm like, oh, their screen's just way too big, or whatever it is way too big. Their rig is too big. They can't get it into these, 2,000 to 3,000 seat arenas. But I'm actually I'm glad that they're moving to the smaller venues because I think it's going to create a better atmosphere because they're running these big buildings and they're just so cold right now they can't get people into the building. But I'm also sad because they're so cold right now they can't get people into the building.
I see this as an opportunity because I watched Dynamite last night. A lot of hits and misses. You know, there's still way too much WWE influence on the show. I've missed it for the last like 2 weeks, not because I hate wrestling. I do kind of hate wrestling right now, but just because of amateur wrestling stuff. Like I got kids wrestling practice on Wednesday. Like my Wednesdays, I'm up at 5, go to the gym, got a full day of school, got the high school practice, and then I got the little kids practice. So I'm not getting home till like 9, and I'm freaking tired. Like it's hard. Like so I made sure to buckle down and watch it last night, and anything not Moxley tangential or Swerve tangential is a little hard to watch right now.
Oh yeah.
But I think this is a good move. This is when they launched the company, they were hitting up a lot of college towns, right? And they ran the college venues and they had these really hot atmospheres. And then they got bigger and that kind of, you know, the punk effect on it, right? And they brought in Mike Mansory, who has this WWE brain, and he wants this, you know, it's easier to run these big arenas, but it creates this like desolate atmosphere. And if you watch the summer shows in Austin that they did at the E-Game, you know,
Arlington,
Austin, it's Texas. Yeah. Who cares?
Shout out Junkyard Akiyama, who is most definitely going to DM me after this show.
Oh yeah, and like those shows were cool, tight. Like, I think they have to do this now. They're not drawing anything. Well, yeah, you're right, they aren't. But this is what WCW did. Watch those early Nitros, right? The first Nitros at the Mall of America. Do you think that if they could have sold out whatever the Target, I forget what the Target Center was called in the mid 90s, the equivalent. Do you think if they could have sold that out, they would have ran it there instead of the Mall of America where they didn't charge anything to watch the show? Right? Watch those early Nitros, the Club La Vila, like all these, they ran all these like cool small venues. And it gave it a cool vibe to it. And when the show got hot, then all of a sudden they're selling out the Georgia Dome. Like right now, the show isn't that great. Like the Moxley stuff is really good, but the rest of it's bad because there's too many WWE brain people in there still. And they're working on it. Hopefully when the C2 starts, it's going to get better again. But I mean, they still need work. So I think doing this is one of the best things they could do right now. Like, let's get these hot atmospheres and let's get stuff a little bit more intimate. Let's run the Hammerstein. Like, let's do some cool, unique stuff that doesn't look like you're trying to mirror WWE.
I'm glad you said that the run the Hammerstein or
Hammerstein.
Wait, whatever people call it. I got this DM from King of the North. He wants to submit this for bad tweets. I'm going to pull it up right now. This comes to us from at TJ McCloon.
I don't know who that is.
This motherfucker is a loon. So Brett Lauderdale says, now that our back is against the wall, we're up against it now. I love a good challenge. I love it when people count us out. And he's talking about going because Game Changer Wrestling is going to the Hammerstein January 19th. And then this guy, Macaloon, says it won't be surprising when GCW outsells AEW at Hammerstein because Brett is a better booker and storyteller than Tony. And it's a better show to go to.
Get the fuck out of here.
So that was a this week's submission for bad tweets. Oh, King, you're in. Did I make it in time? Yeah, I just did it. Yeah. I like that they're running the Hammerstein. I feel like 3 nights in a row is going to be a little bit tough though, because they're going to do Collision. They're going to do Final Battle, and then they're going to do Dynamite. I think that might be a little bit tough, but if they load it up, I think they'll do well. And then as far as GCW, will they outsell AEW? The answer is it depends on if Tony Khan lets his talent work there, because that's the reason why they filled the place up in the beginning, because they were able to book John Moxley. And I think they also had I think they might have had Kingston on that card too that they did a couple years ago. But they had some AEW talent on that show.
You never notice that nobody talks about GCW anymore. A couple years ago, they were like the hottest indie. Now they're kind of not because they kind of exposed, right? They ran Cork and it was a disaster. They ran a couple shows. They ran the Manhattan or the Hammerstein show.
Hammerstein, yeah, they ran the Hammerstein. I think they had some people in there, but it didn't look good on TV. Like it looked really bad.
GCW fucking sucks. So I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll get a DM from that. But I mean, like, who cares? Like, I mean, they have their loyal fan base, right? They have the people that will sit there and tell you that Nick Gage is awesome, and the man can barely
Nick
walk.
Nick Gage doesn't work there anymore.
I
Nick
don't
Nick Gage left the company.
probably because he cares.
Yeah.
Who's the champion in GCW right now? They're not as relevant as they were a few years back.
I couldn't tell you. So they were here in Hawaii a couple weeks ago, and I didn't go because the main event was Speedball versus Effie, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go watch that. And I wanted to go see Speedball, and I still like Matt Cardona. You guys can make fun of me all you want. I like him. I think he's entertaining. And he was on the card, and I'm like, and I don't even remember who he was booked against, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna go watch that.
So yeah, you had a real professional wrestling show on the island, and you said no.
Yeah.
So.
Now look, if we didn't just have a baby and I wasn't going to leave my wife in a bind, we could have like planned it out, negotiated, and maybe got some help. But I was like, I'm not going to like put my family in a bind for 3 hours to go to drive, even though it's 20 minutes away. I'm not going to go do that. So
yeah, I don't blame you.
This is pretty funny. Everything Pro Wrestling brings this up. Effie being upset on AEW running the venue was weird. You know what? I get why he's frustrated because it's going to take a little bit of steam away from their company, but it's all fair. Like, not like how was like I'm sure AEW had this planned. They're not doing anything to sabotage GCW. They've always let their stars work on GCW, so there's not anything nefarious going on here. So I don't really, but I get why he would be frustrated because like everybody's going to be exposed to those 3 shows. They're not going to want anything to do with this GCW show.
They wanted to do the last time. That's on there. There's a problem with GCW running the Hammerstein. GCW has to look at GCW because the last time they ran the show was shit. So, Brett's genius is sold. So, Brett can figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, I really do like them running smaller venues, and it was pretty interesting to have James on the show last week and Joe on the show, because Joe, like my family, like Joe's brother and Joe specifically too, they're in the concert business. Joe's worked a lot of concerts. His brother's promoted a lot of concerts, and it costs a lot of money to book out those venues. And when there's nobody going to them, right, and you're only booking it because you have these large scale equipment, you got to be losing your ass on just the event itself. You have like a specific budget. You have the specific budget for the event. You're going in and you're getting in the negative. Now TV rights will negate all of that, but still, if you can get the same ratings but in a smaller venue, and to spend less money on your live event, why wouldn't you do that? I think it's a win-win for the company. And if they end up getting hot again, they could always go back to the bigger venues. But
for sure,
right now the demand just isn't there. There is no demand for it.
And like WCW teaches us that just because you're cold now doesn't mean you'll stay cold forever. WWE was struggling in 2018, 2019, right? Yeah. And then they got hot. They all take much to get hot again. You just got to get something going good and stop listening to the wrong people. What Tony's got to do is stop listening to Twitter. I saw a really good I've been avoiding Twitter. I opened a Blue Sky account. It seemed nice, but I can't get Blue Sky to open on my phone. So I don't know what's up with that.
Blue Sky is great. It doesn't work, but it's great.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. People, it's amazing. This amazing site. Okay, I can't open it, whatever. But I was on Twitter yesterday, and someone's like, people for years not pushing stories and not doing vignettes. Now, and people were bitching. And so I forget who posted this. Listen to Twitter, right? Judging a show based on a Twitter reaction, anything. We see this in politics. We see this in everything. Don't listen to Twitter. It's a microcosm. Yeah. Don't do it, Michael.
Twitter can have a real effect on things, but the problem with Twitter is that your algorithm like kind of creates this echo chamber for you, right? And so like you're kind of seeing what you want to see a lot of times. So it's just it really is super weird. I think that he needs to listen to the right people. Know who those people are. I don't know. I have like one person in mind that he should probably listen to, but
we've talked about that numerous times, but he won't listen to that one voice because I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to get myself in trouble.
Yeah. Don't get us in trouble anymore.
I stopped. I caught myself.
Here's a good point. King of the North says, I'm really curious to see what Max does to their ticket buying audience with the direction cable is going in. That's a cool study to look at.
Good call.
I agree. I think that Max will expand the audience. I happen to be a Max subscriber now. Unfortunately, my wife's cousin canceled her subscription, so I didn't have one for a full year. And I was offered a student discount. So I like, okay, it's $4.99. I'm gonna go ahead and get it again. So now I have a new account. Dude, I'm showing my kid Looney Tunes.
Important.
Now it's really fun. There's no educational value because it's usually just chasing and hitting people, or animals. But she like loves, slapstick comedy. She absolutely loves it. But the older ones, dude, we were watching this one, and Tweety Bird was outside, and Sylvester the cat was inside. And it's like winter, and then him and another cat escaped their apartments that they were living in, and they both went to go eat Tweety Bird. And Tweety Bird runs, and they're both chasing, and they're fighting each other, trying to get at Tweety Bird, right? So then they get to a pipe. There's this long pipe, right? And there's like a little exit out in the center. And the one cat that's not Sylvester's on one end, and Sylvester comes on the other end, grabs a shotgun, shoots into the pipe. It goes through the cat's mouth and out his butt. And I'm like, I was like, good. I don't know that my daughter should watch this, but she was laughing so hard I couldn't stop it. But thankfully, in 2020, they created new ones that aren't as like super crazy. Like Elmer Fudd doesn't have a gun in that one.
So, I have thoughts on this. First of all, I'm glad you're educating your daughter, right? Because I think Looney Tunes are important. I disagree they're not educational. I learned so much vocabulary. I learned so much about history and music, like classical music, from watching Looney Tunes growing up.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff you could take from that. Like, there's a lot.
I know, but Bluey has like real like life lessons. You know what I mean?
I mean, like that's the way it's
like, and Paw Patrol is really good about teamwork and other life lessons. Looney Tunes is like, Daffy Duck getting angry and like trying to kill somebody.
It's true, but there's a lot you can learn from that. I'm not saying it's educational, but I'm saying it's not all for naught. And like, and those things have aged really well too. Like a lot of those cartoons are 70, 80 years old and are still freaking funny. So
yeah,
kudos to them on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think oh, good.
No, you go ahead.
No, I do think we talked about how I truly believe that Peacock was a big reason for the WWE turnaround and just having that outreach to more people. I think that can help AEW too. They just got to get hot and stop being WWE light.
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree. It feels like right now they're just kind of throwing some shit at the wall and hoping that some of it sticks. And sometimes it's good. And then they pick stuff up and then they drop it really quick. And, you got people kind of turning out of the blue. Last night's show, I didn't think was any good. I loved the opening match. But that was like, and I liked Ishii stalking Jericho. I thought that was pretty funny.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I thought Claudio and Darby was fantastic.
Yeah, I like that. And then unfortunately I got YouTube TV, so the main event cut off. So like I don't want to be Brian Alvarez right now and complain about it, but like that's just what happened. So so to this I get the feeling Orange they're just setting up the match, and I'll be honest, I'm not interested in Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. I'm sure Orange will kick out of some stuff and he'll do it. He'll keep kicking out of things until he doesn't, and Mox will win. But I don't know.
I like Orange Cassidy. I just don't see this as a main event level program, which, I'm okay with because I think we need to keep building Moxley as champ for a while. But at the same time, it very much has like an NWO sold out.
Yes.
Feels like a B pay-per-view kind of.
It really does. And, coming off the heels of last year's Full Gear, I do question how well this will do. But since we're talking about Full Gear, let's go ahead and just get into that card. And then I want to talk about some interesting comments that Jon Moxley's been making lately, because that brother, he's very interesting on TV. He's much more interesting on podcasts right now.